I look like I'm dressed for summer.
You do. I'm wearing a hoodie.
I told you I got so hot running all the...
That was a long time ago, though.
I know, but...
Iggy, are we happy?
Yep.
We
All
are
right.
happy.
Welcome to the Living Your Best podcast.
Oh my God, living your best life.
Oh,
podcast.
crap. Living Your Best Life podcast.
With Valerie.
And Bennie.
And we are here to bring you...
Good news and good tidings. That really sounded like you were going to go into this Christmas thing.
Oh, it is Christmas time. Actually, when this airs, it'll be just after Christmas, right?
It will be. So it's still the season to be
Yeah,
jolly.
Exactly. Thank you for being here, my friends.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Iggy. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Iggy. I know you have a busy evening, so thank you. Say you're welcome.
Iggy, you're nodding. They can't see a nod. You're not even on camera, Iggy. So, anyway.
I lost my words.
Okay. Well, yeah, Iggy's got a party, so he wants us to be done. So, well, we're thankful for you guys listening. No, I'm kidding. So this is the podcast where one of us chooses a subject and the other person is surprised by the subject. And we're not experts, right?
Right. And you know what? It's funny because somebody asked me one day, are you really surprised or you just tell people that you do that? And I'm like, no. And on my way here, as I was telling you, I was tired and I'm like, well, I feel so tired. I said, I'm very thankful that I don't have to do the podcast. Like, it's not my subject, right? But then I'm like, oh, but now I have to be on my feet because he's going to present something to me that I don't know about.
Honestly, I always wonder what's best because there's a part of me that likes not knowing because when I don't know, basically whatever I say is fine because it's not my responsibility to know. And then on the other hand, when it's my turn, I like the fact that I do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
We're not experts, like we said, but I do research it and so on. So how are you doing? How is the week? How are things going on before we get into the subject?
The week is good. And like we just said, I think on air that this will air right after Christmas, but we did the Riviera in Redondo. They have a holiday walk, or what do they call it, the holiday stroll last night. So we went down there and walked it, and it was so crowded. And I feel sorry for people with kids because I almost wanted to take the grandbabies, and then I was like, well, I don't know what time Peter's going to get home. I'm not sure of the timing, blah, blah, blah. So we just went by ourselves when he got home. But the line to see Santa was over an hour long. And I guess there was a Grinch somewhere, which I didn't even see because the crowd was so big, that their line was equally as long. So it was like, I'm glad we didn't take the kids because that would have just been like brutal. But it was just nice because it's just, 'tis the season, lots of music, people everywhere, wearing fun Santa hats or reindeer ears, just being fun and festive. So it was nice.
And of course, were you guys wearing Christmas sweaters?
We were not.
Were you guys out of place or was everybody else like not wearing
No, not everybody was. But a lot of people did get festive like that. But I even said to Peter, I'm like, oh my God, this is so not like you. Why do you not have a Christmas sweater on? But he legit ran in, ate the dinner that I cooked him and said, okay, let's go. Because he was running later than he thought. So we didn't really give it much thought, but it was fun. And then today, so the week has been good, but today we had the fun run at school and it inevitably is always super hot when we have to do the fun run.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it's like December.
Last year, though, we had lots of rain and it was cold at this time. If you remember, last year at this time it was cold.
I hope we still get lots of rain.
Do too.
I do really do.
I know.
Because when we went to Big Bear year before last, the water was so far. I mean, the docks were just sitting there in dirt, and now this year we went. There was water. It was so
and
nice to see.
Way closer.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it like that in years.
Yeah,
and
it was
then
nice.
And then it's just nice because it's winter and it's Christmas and it shouldn't be today. Well, today was actually not you keep saying it was hot, but man, like what was it, a week ago that it was 80?
Well, yeah, that was hot.
Yeah.
But I just mean sitting out in the sun on the field.
Right.
You're running around and around and around.
Yeah. No.
But no, it's chilly in the morning, though. I will say that because I think it was 42 when I went to the gym this morning.
Yeah,
so
I went for the walk, but that was like at, what is that, 6:15 maybe or something like that. It was, I think it was 43 or something like that here. So that's nice, actually. I like doing that. So
yeah.
Cool.
And
I'm finishing school. This is my last week of no. Next week is my last week of school, but for all intents and purposes, today or this week is because I am finishing a paper to well, probably tomorrow and or Sunday, and but I'm almost done with it, and then next week it's like there's not a whole lot to do, and they don't even for whatever reason the two classes I have, they don't even have readings, which I actually like the readings because I like learning, so I don't mind doing the readings. And in the past I've done optional reading, or I've even downloaded, because we only have to read, we can't read the entire book. Some of these books are like really long, and so we read key portions, but then I go through and I download PDFs of parts of the book that I want to read and that I like, and so then I read it between classes. But this year I'm gonna chill.
When you said you're gonna be finished with school, do you mean just like you have
No,
a
just
winter
this
break?
quarter. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I have
okay.
a year left.
Okay. So you get like a little winter break or
right.
whatever.
So I'm on for 10 weeks and then I'm off. Typically, I think it's 3 weeks. I'm not sure if that's the case this time. I really don't remember, but I'm usually, it's 10 weeks on and then I think it's 3 weeks off usually. So that's the plan. And so I'm really looking forward to that being done, because it's just nice. It just feels a little stressful. Next quarter, I begin what's called my internship, where I have to actually start doing some stuff, and then I'm taking 2 classes instead of just 1. So we'll see if I'll be alive. Yeah, I'm planning on it though. Being alive.
I hope so. I hope you do live through that.
Yeah, I know. All the podcast listeners right now are saying, please live. That's what they're saying.
All of them.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have to do with Iggy, and all Iggy does is go, I'm out of words. So there you go. All right, well.
Let's dive in.
So last week you brought up a subject, and honestly, I'm just dovetailing off of it. So you talked about the holiday season and the stresses that brings and all those things. And so I thought I would just dovetail into something that's very, very common and coming up, because yours was like, we decided, oh man, it would have been great to do that podcast like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about New Year's resolutions. So New Year's resolutions. So is that a surprising thing for you? And you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say?
What am I going to say? It shocked me. I don't know. I think I need to leave and come back.
We can pause. No, we can't. So when you think of New Year's resolutions, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Honestly, the very first thing that no one sticks to them.
No one sticks to them. Yeah. I actually did a little Google search.
The first thing that comes to mind. Yeah.
25% of people by the end of January have abandoned their, so that's 3 out of 4 people abandon, or no, that's 1 out of 4 people that abandon their whatever their resolution is by January. 46% of people were still moving ahead in July, so that's not as
pretty
bad
good,
as I
yeah.
thought, because I thought it was going to be more like 30% or something like that. Now they didn't give me stats on like what, or I should say I didn't pursue stats on exactly what that means, because some people might not have pursued it to the same degree as others and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that is a big thing. What else comes to your mind when it comes to
well, and the other thing that comes to mind, and I hate to be like the negative Nelly about New Year's resolutions, because I honestly did do them, and then maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago I started doing just like a word that I wanted to live by for the year. And so,
oh, interesting. What do you mean?
Like this year my goal was my word was consistency. And then last year, I can't remember, to be honest with you. It's in my journal. But so I was just trying to just give myself a word. But the next thing that comes to mind when you ask me is that people sometimes do I don't know, they bite off more they can chew with their resolution. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe they're too ambitious. So then by the time you set, like you said, in January, a lot of people have given it up because they can't, it wasn't a realistic goal
Right.
in that resolution, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So, what do you think? What do you think are the biggest ones? What are the New Year's resolutions that most people go for?
For me, I feel like people say they are going to exercise more or eat better.
So, those are the first two. So,
Oh, there you go.
The first two right on the list are exercise more and eat healthier is what they say.
Right.
And then it goes down the list: lose weight, which is having to do with eat healthier, right? Believe it or not, this was interesting to me. Number 4, quit smoking.
Oh,
So I thought that was interesting. I guess smokers, this is
Use it at
obviously
that
a struggle, and
time
they try.
to-
Yeah, it's going to be
yeah.
like a motivating thing.
right.
Saving money was another one. Saving money is another big one. Learning a new skill or hobby. I thought that was interesting too, because I don't think I've ever.
Thought that to be as a resolution, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess I've wanted to do that, but I guess I haven't thought about it because to me that's such a
You could-
huge commitment
yeah,
that it's like
yeah.
you don't just go, okay, it's starting January.
Right,
I'm
right,
going
right.
to play the piano.
Right.
So, so yeah, travel more. There's several different things. So what I wanted to do, what I thought we would do here is I wrote some things down, but you already mentioned a couple things. But I guess one of the tensions that I have here is I'm pretty goal oriented. So I actually think goals are super important for people to have, and if we don't have goals, you're certainly going to hit it.
Yeah.
And so having a goal is a good idea, but then I'm wondering, okay, so then where? And here's my question to you, or well, this is what we'll discuss, I guess, or one of the things. Where's the difference between goal setting and New Year's resolutions? Like, what is the difference? Why is it that people can set a goal and maybe achieve it, whereas New Year's resolutions are?
I mean, because I don't know the answer to that really, but I'm feeling like people can set a goal at any time of the year. It doesn't have to be like on a New Year's resolution. I feel like when people make the New Year's resolution, it's just like, okay, this is something we have to do. We have to set a goal. We have to set a New Year's, you know what I mean? And it's not maybe as thought out if you decide in August, okay, I have a goal for myself and this is what I want to achieve or something like that. I don't know. I'm just speaking.
Spitballing.
Yeah, I am. I'm just throwing this out there because I don't really know is there really a logical.
Yeah, I'm not.
Answer?
I actually don't 100%. I have some. I wrote some things down, which I'll get to later, that have to do with how we can maybe succeed and so on. But one of the things that I think really happens with New Year's resolutions is we take them without a whole lot of thought.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, because a New Year's resolution, or excuse me, if we are setting a goal, it's probably been, especially if it's not around a time frame,
right?
Then we're looking at things and we're saying, okay, this is what I'm wanting to do, and this is why I want to do it, and this is the goal that I have. And so those things could be like starting a new business, or if you already have a business, I'm going to increase by 10%, or I'm going to create, if I'm an engineer and 3M, I don't know if they still do, but I know at one point they allowed engineers to do their own innovations and do these really cool things. And so it's like, okay, well, this year I have a goal of creating one of those things, or, so there's a plan for those kind of things.
Well, and that's what I meant. Like, I feel like people just automatically think that they have to set some kind of New Year's resolution, and it's not as thought out as like when you randomly
or somehow they think the New Year's resolution is going to be the fact that it's New Year's. Somehow this like quitting smoking or doing the food thing, somehow it's going to be easier than when I tried it in July.
Right.
like something all of a sudden is going to
But like you said with the smoking, maybe there is that like, well, this is my motivating factor in 2024 or whatever that upcoming year is. That is what I want to achieve in that year, instead of just like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of the whole thing of people, like I just remember hearing this a lot back in the day of like, I'm going to start my diet, but I'm going to start on Monday. And it's like, why don't you just start Thursday? Like, why aren't you just starting tomorrow? Why are we waiting till Monday?
Because I'm going to go this weekend and eat like crazy, which basically is saying, yeah, you still don't have the right mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're thinking of depriving yourself for this to go on this diet,
right?
And diets don't work like, or I should say, if a sustainable lifestyle of eating healthy and reducing weight isn't going to happen
Right.
with you. Yeah.
Right.
You're going right. Because you're thinking you're not doing this very well because you do the food thing way better than I do.
No, but it's true. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. See, so for me, when I think of New Year's resolutions, it's interesting for me because I've had New Year's resolutions before that, honestly it was really helpful for me that I used the new year to like as a springboard. Like it was like a motivating factor, but I guess, and then I've had other times where it was like a flop, you know. Now for me, food is always an issue. So that's a goal that I set, but I rarely do it for New Year's because it's more like I do it every other month. So it's like I'm constantly thinking about, okay, I need to be better about
but that's
this.
okay. Every month you remind yourself, I got to do better.
I got to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I even set things in place. I have used Noom in the past, and I'm back on Noom again. And I do different things. If you're not familiar with Noom, it's an app. I do actually highly recommend it. It's really cool. Have you ever heard of Noom? Have you ever?
You told me about it, and then I was talking to Maribel, my friend, a couple months ago, a couple weeks. I think it's been about a month or two. And when she's lost weight from a few years ago, and I never knew how she did it, but she just so happened to say something about Noom. I go, "Is that how you lost your weight?" She goes, "Yeah." And she was telling me about the app. I go, "No, I know. My brother did it." So yeah.
Well, I love what I like about it is it is practical in the sense of food, and makes it pretty easy for you to track things. What I really like about it though is it's not, they make it very clear this is not a quick fix.
Right.
And then number two is they give you, if you pay for it, there's like these psychological tips that you
that's
can
what
go
she
through.
really liked. Yeah.
And you can get coaching throughout the whole experience and all this kind of stuff. So for me, it was actually really helpful. There it is. It was really, really helpful to just have the accountability, looking at
support,
and then looking, because I'm a dork. I mean, when it comes to food, I seriously don't recognize that it's funny because I have those what are those things called that are almonds and the white ones, they're cashews. So I have them there and they're quote unquote healthier than if that was
you guys. He
cookies.
had a really hard time with adaptogens, but he even has a hard time with almonds and cashews.
I do. So I always call them peanuts. Patty's like, they're not peanuts. And so if you they're there, and I intentionally put those there because otherwise if they're cookies, I'll do the same thing that I'm doing with those, which is just putting them in my mouth.
Right.
Well, I mean, I could eat a pound of that a day.
Right.
That's not true, but
I know what
I could eat a lot of it, way more. And so when I start counting and I start taking account for what I'm doing, then all of a sudden I recognize this is ridiculous. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And so it just kind of, resets me. But wow, we got off track.
I know.
This is your fault. And so, but what it comes down to is this. I remember when I started Noom, for instance, it was around, it was the idea of a New Year's resolution.
Oh, okay.
Like, I want to be different this year. I want to do something different. And then making and there's like a switch that has to be flipped in the mind to say, this is not just something that I'm going to attempt to do right now because, it's New Year's, but this is a lifestyle change that I know I need to make. And if I don't make this lifestyle change, it's going to permanently affect me, or potentially can affect me for years to come. And I don't want this. And it was right after, if you remember, I don't know if you remember, but I was over 200 pounds for the very first time in after COVID, or during COVID, I should say.
Right.
And even though I was working out, because of my job situation, I was eating out a lot. I was eating.
No, food is everything. I mean, I think that people think that they can outrun a fork, and you can't. You cannot.
I'm gonna write that down.
No, but it's true. It's like if you can move your body all you want, and you can, but if you're feeding it all the wrong stuff, it's not like you get to the abs in the kitchen, not the gym.
Wow.
You're going to write that down too?
Goodness. She's been working on this, man. Who didn't come prepared? Did you hear that, boogers? My wife is here. Today we've been married 33 years.
Happy anniversary.
Anniversary. So.
No, but I hear what you're saying, and
Wait, what was the abs one again? Can you say that again?
Abs are made in the kitchen.
Abs are made in the kitchen, Iggy. All right.
So speaking of Iggy, do you do
They're
New Year's?
also lost in the kitchen.
They're also lost in the kitchen.
Oh, the Igmeister. Okay.
Do you do New Year's resolutions?
Nope.
Okay. I was just curious because I actually wonder how many people actually do it. But I think, I mean, I don't know where you were actually going to go, but I think that a lot of people set it up to, because it, like you just said, they don't think it through. They think it's a thing that you do for the new year. But I like what you said. It has to be something that you've really, really wanted to do and make a change in your life about, not just like, okay, what can I do for a New Year's resolution this year? Okay, I'm going to do this.
Right.
Because it's just not a well thought out thing. And you're not probably going to continue.
And
with
it's
it.
not sufficient enough to simply say New Year's resolution is not sufficient enough of a reason to actually change your entire lifestyle, because most of the time what we're talking about is a lifestyle change. Even if I mentioned a few things, so it says this: exercise more, eat healthy, lose weight, quit smoking, save money, learn a new skill or hobby, travel more, improve mental health, get organized. That's a huge one for some. Spend more time with family and friends, read more, drink less alcohol, volunteer, advance my career. That's one that might be, I'm going to put that as a one-off, a different thing for a reason in a second, and reduce screen time. Every one of these things is actually great. I mean, there's not a single thing on here that I would say, oh, that's just a stupid thing. I mean, they're all really, really good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do this, it's a lifestyle change.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with January 1.
Exactly. And I was just going to say, single thing that you just read off can be changed at any point in time in the year.
That's right.
You said reduce screen time. That was something I said to myself maybe 2 months ago-ish. I was like, okay, I need to not look at the screen so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so well, on January 1st, I'm going to stop looking at the screen so much. You know?
Exactly. And then all of a sudden something magical happens and you're able to do that. It's not, that's just not the way it works. On the other hand, I don't think there's an issue with someone saying, hey, I'm going to use January 1st because I've been pondering this. I've been thinking about it. I have a plan.
Right.
I've set out a plan. And then, and now I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to launch it, for lack of a better word, on January 1st. So that is something that could be motivating and cool and good. And, but if you're just thinking, well, this is what I'm going to do this year, it's highly unlikely, because, any of these things is going to mean saying no to something else that you're very accustomed to doing.
Right.
So obviously quit smoking means you're obviously not going to smoke. So but there's a bigger issue with smoking, although smoking could be obviously addicting, but it's also, there's something about having it in your hand.
Right.
There's something about
and
that.
I feel like something like that, because it's an addiction, it's an addiction. You have to have something in place. I mean, unless you really think that you could just cold turkey stop smoking. But I mean, I feel like you have to line your ducks in a row and say, this is what I'm going to do. Instead of putting that in my hand, or, maybe
and what help
joining
are you
a
going to get?
support group. Or
yes,
you're gonna,
exactly. Joining
a
support group, maybe talking to my doctor, talking to, are there meds that can help me counteract it for a season of time?
Right.
Are there things that are recommended? What, like you just said. So all of these things. And so what does that mean? If I'm going to go to meetings and if I'm going to do this, that means I'm going to invest money in these things. And I'm going to, because right now some people will say, well, I'm going to quit drinking so much alcohol because it's so expensive.
Right.
Well, that's not very helpful if you're still going out to the parties and now you're buying, big, huge sundaes while everybody else is drinking or whatever. So what is your real issue? What is the real thing that's going on? What is the thing that you're trying to change? And identifying that and then making a difference is I think, key.
Right.
So that's one of the things that they were saying here. So what are the reasons why people don't accomplish things? You mentioned it when you started, which is unrealistic goals. And so I think that's a huge one. For instance,
well, we talked about this in other podcasts where even just people saying, you know, when we talked about maybe going exercising, we'll just start with walking around the block or start with whatever it is. But people go full throttle. They're like, I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week and I'm going to go for 2 hours. And then,
yes, exactly. And then they invest $1,000 in clothes and shoes. And then it's like, I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that's good in the sense that hopefully you'll want to wear it.
Yeah.
But I don't know very many women that actually do yoga, but they all wear yoga pants. But yeah, unrealistic goals, even from a food perspective, or I should say a weight perspective, you know, the goal, I like the idea of saying I'm going to eat healthier,
yes,
rather than the goal of losing weight. Because if your goal is to lose weight, you're going to be really discouraged if and when you don't reach the goals that you might have set out in your mind. I'm going to lose 10 pounds in the first week. I'm going to lose 5 the next, and I'm going to do this and that and the other.
Goals,
and it's like really what you're trying to do is change your lifestyle. And then ultimately, it's one of those things where you don't notice a difference until all of a sudden you're like, wow.
Yeah.
This is,
you know,
really
it's
cool.
interesting too that you said that, because I liked the eating healthier part too, because last year, one of the teachers I work with she went around the room asking all the students if they did New Year's resolutions. And then she said, my goal or my New Year's resolution is to eat healthier. And she said exactly what you're just talking about, how at the end of the day, I really would like to drop a few pounds, but I'm not going to say that I'm going to lose weight. I want to just eat healthier because I really want to be overall healthy. And then she goes, and now that I've put it out there, you kids are going to be my accountability partner.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was very interesting because every now and then she has a candy jar and she'll like pass out little mints when they take tests or whatever. And every now and then she'll go in and reach or whatever. And the kids are like, Mrs. Kanashiro, you said you were going to eat healthier. And so it was very interesting because she was like, I love that I have this support group here, you know?
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice to tell somebody if it really is a lifestyle change that you want to make.
That's another great thing is it's one of the reasons why people fail is because they have lack of support. And so some people have, you know, and this is really hard. I get this. They don't want to share their goals because they've failed at them so many times,
right?
That now it's like, well, I'm just not going to tell people, because if I tell people, it's just embarrassing because I don't do it.
Yeah.
And then you end up failing because you're doing it without any help, and there's no one there.
And I don't know about you. Do you look at somebody that's trying something and actually doesn't actually meet that goal as a failure?
Totally. I hate them. No, of course not.
Right.
Because not only do I not think of that, I think it was ballsy for you to mention it in the first place, because sometimes I'm too much of a pansy to say I want to do it.
No, I agree.
So,
I think that just taking that step takes a lot of courage, and to tell somebody about that step takes even more courage.
Yes.
And then if you don't succeed with it, then try again or change the pattern of the goal that you're trying to, achieve.
Or move on. I mean, obviously that's not my goal for you. Hopefully I want you person to achieve your goal. But the truth is that, you're definitely not going to succeed if you don't try. And so it's just a matter of trying and going for it. I can definitely say it's really interesting to me how I am very disciplined in so much of my life. And when it comes to food, it really is one of those things that's incredibly difficult. I'm Oprah without the money. And so,
it is interesting because we're two different people because
that's true.
we really are. But
you're older, remember?
But you can thrive more on, like, just for example, your app where you have to list everything and you get it counted out for you. And so, I don't know the whole app, so if I'm not saying it correctly, forgive me. But what I mean by that is that works for you.
Yeah.
And for me, when I log my food or whatever, or I get kind of like in a little bit of it's like a head game with me because I see, oh my gosh, I've already eaten, 1,600 calories. That seems like a lot. But then when I think about my day, I'm like, it really isn't, because that's what I eat. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is when I see it listed, it kind of puts my head in a different space, and I'd rather just not.
So what's funny is that because you understand all that. See, I don't understand squat. And so what happens with Noom, in the case of Noom, it actually says, this is where you want to be. And it just has a little red line or green line. And so once you're inside that thing. You just want to stay inside that thing. You just don't want to go over.
Oh, well, that's
and
actually
it
kinda
even
cool,
measures,
actually.
and it actually measures like, so like, let's just say it starts off the day with 1600. I'm making up a number because I don't remember. I'm horrible at that stuff. After I work out or do walks, or
It'll allow for you to add more.
Yeah, it'll
yeah.
go to 1898.
Yeah.
So it recognizes.
I think that for me, it's a mind game because of my history with, food.
Disordered
Disordered eating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See.
So I think that's what it is. And I know when we were with TSAC and Matt was happy.
TSAC is a gym.
It's a CrossFit gym.
CrossFit gym.
When they were
day.
doing a challenge, a paleo challenge or whatever. And Matt kind of tried to have me organize it, and so he's like, okay, you have to be I think it was, what's the app called, not My Fit Foods, what is it called, Fitness Pal or something, like My Fitness Pal or something, and you
Probably
log all
doesn't
your
matter.
food and all that kind of stuff. But he was like, can you log your food so your friends, so everybody, because we all linked friends that were in the challenge,
so they could see what you
I
were
wasn't
doing.
in the challenge, but they wanted to see, like, can you log your food so they can see? And it just kind of like, okay,
It got
I'm
in
gonna
your
do this, but
head.
it got in my head.
Well, I
So-
also think that's a little bit different because you were doing it for others. I don't do it for others. So now what it does do, if anybody out there cares, but it'll say green, yellow, and red foods. And so it's not telling you can't do any of those.
It just tells you
it's
where
just
it
telling you
falls.
where it
And-
did fall.
yes,
And then it
yes.
actually gives you like how much you probably want for the green and how much you probably want for yellow and how much you probably want for
That's
red.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is cool. It's very easy to use. Very, very simple. I'm sorry. And so I was shaking and she made me stop. So that's a new thing I'm going to do for the new year. I'm not going to shake.
Well, what I was talking about with goals, or I'm sorry, with New Year's resolution, is that I stopped making New Year's resolutions was because it was right around the pandemic, and I think I had mentioned this on one of the podcasts, and if I'll try to find it and link it so if you guys want to go back and listen to it. But I was talking about how sad I was when I moved into our neighborhood and around the house that we used to own. And so I was going through a lot of stuff in my head, and we moved in at the end of August, early September. So right around, it's coming up on the on the holidays and New Year's. And I was like, do I have a New Year's resolution? But I was so sad. I shouldn't say sad, but I was just like, overthinking everything that happened when we lost our house and everything. So I decided I'm not making a New Year's resolution. This year, I'm going to adapt the word breathe. And every time I get inside myself about what happened, but I couldn't change the circumstances,
Right.
but just breathe, just take the deep breath and breathe. And so I started using that word for everything in my life, not just that, and I like having a word for the year. And it just kind of just comes back to you all
What's
the
cool
time.
about that too, what you're doing though, is you're in the case of breathing. I don't know if this is exactly what you're doing, but breathing is super good for stress. It's good when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's a way to reorient your mind to being like normal. So it's kind of interesting because you're just using a word, but the truth is that it affects so much of what your life is. So I really like that idea. I don't know if you stole it from somebody or if it's your own. But
It's mine. It's my idea. Oh, you mean adopting a word for the year?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So it's like a.
But I'll just say that I made it up.
Adapt genes.
Adapt.
Adapting genes. Okay. So lack of support is a reason why people don't do it. Unrealistic goals, we already mentioned. Lack of planning, we talked about this, and I'm not going to go into it then. Failure, this is a big deal. Failure to address root causes. Failure to address root causes is one of the reasons why people do not complete their whatever it is their goal is. So let's take it off of what we always talk about and let's talk about being organized. There are people that feel so disorganized and they can't get things done, and they might feel overwhelmed. They might feel frustrated. There's so many different things, right, that they might feel. And what's interesting about being when somebody is disorganized is if you just try and say, I'm going to be organized this year, and there's absolutely no plan, you really have to recognize, why am I disorganized? When I used to do like pastoral counseling, now I'm going to this therapy stuff, but it was very interesting with me because I could go into a person's home and you could see a person that's like ridiculously neat, where you kind of feel uncomfortable sitting inside their house because it's so perfect. And then you go, are you laughing because it's your house?
I was like, do you feel that way in my house? Because it's not perfect.
I don't think of it I don't think of you like that. Although I think we've already talked about the fact that you might share some of the things that I'm about to say. And then there's other group of people who have incredibly disorganized, not disorganized, dirty, I don't know. Their house is just a
chaotic,
mess. Yeah, it's chaotic and so on. And then you have us, which we are a mixture of both.
Lived in.
It's very lived in. Yeah. Nobody
I would never say it's chaotic, but I wouldn't say it's meticulous.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Look at the pillows right now. You'd be having a hissy fit.
Stressing about the no, just kidding. I'm kidding.
You'd be dying. So, but the point, what I'm getting at is those two people often have the same root issue. It's just that they're responding differently.
Right.
So one is responding by saying, I'm just going this direction.
Right.
The other one responds by saying, I'm going to be overly organized. And the point is that most things have a happy medium. We're not intended to live in these extremes on either side. And if you don't identify the root cause, you might find yourself just swinging to the other pendulum. So somebody who's really disorganized might find themselves anal to the degree that people can't be around them because everything has to be so perfect.
Right,
and then likewise, the other person says, I'm just way too, I'm Monica. What is it called? High.
Just OCD.
Yeah. And so I'm really, everything's got to be just so. And then all of us, well, I don't think you just dropped that. But if somebody did that, in parenting, sometimes people do that, right? So they will say, I'm not going to be anything like my dad. And and then they swing to to a place that's unhealthy because it's not usually the case that dad is that bad. Right. There's things that you can get from him.
Right.
So anyway, did I just totally go off a different tangent?
No.
Okay.
Wait, did you?
I don't know.
No, you're just talking about like saying that as a goal for your New Year's resolutions to become more organized. Then you need to figure out why you are disorganized and get to the cause of what is making you that way.
Whatever it is that you are trying to change, whatever it is that you have the goal for, if you're trying to make a career change, then okay, why are you trying to do that? I just got a client that's one of their key things is I'm never very high executive, second in line, and and really thinking all the time. I'm always, when headhunters call me, I'm always thinking it's going to be, the grass is going to be greener over there. So it's very interesting how if we don't identify what is going on. Now, see, I'm one of these guys, though, that at least from a therapeutic standpoint, I'm not one of these people that's thinking, I really want to dig into every single little nook and cranny, because if you do that, I just think it's unhealthy. I heard this once. If you stayed at a hotel and you took a blue light to the hotel.
Oh, God, I've seen the videos.
Yeah, you would never stay in any hotel.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Because they're just you might not even stay in your own house.
Right.
I mean, it's just, if you did that, it would just be so disgusting, right? Yeah. At least in your own house, it's your stuff.
Right.
Else's. So, but I think what happens with some people in therapy is that they put a blue light to their whole, their mind and everything, and they're trying to clean it out. It's like, yeah, of course you're going to find crap in there because everybody's got crap in there. And if you're putting a blue light to it, you're going to find tons of crap. And you're just never, ever going to clean it to the degree that you can stay in that hotel.
Right.
And so for me, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to, okay, what is the thing that right now is motivating you to do the action that you don't want to do? And then, so now we need to not only address the action, but we need to address whatever that motivating factor is.
Yeah.
And God has an opinion on this. He's calling right now. So, sorry.
No, that's very, very true. Because I feel like sometimes you go through the, you want to get through all the cobwebs and stuff, but instead you're oh, it's Amazon. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, but sometimes you don't want to go so far deep into it that you're even afraid of I don't know. I get exactly what you're saying. I can't put it into words, but it's like you don't want to magnify everything so detailed that you can't even figure out how to start with step one. We all have messes. We are all dirty in some way. We just need to make sure that we're on the surface of it to figure out why. And when I say dirty, I'm using that.
We all have a history. We all have a history.
Yeah.
We all have a history. Everybody has a past. Everybody has a painful past. And quite frankly, some of you have a much more painful past than I've experienced. And so there's people that have been abused. There's people that have dealt with a lot of different things. And there's certainly nothing wrong with addressing those things. My point is going so deep that it, like you says, paralyzes you. Invest there. Oh my gosh, I just went into Spanish. Instead of motivating you to move forward is a problem.
Exactly.
And we certainly don't want that when we're talking about a New Year's resolution. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of
wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Okay, so here's a few things. I'm just going to share these things real quick, and then I'm going to let you share whatever you'd like to share. But they're kind of obvious because of the fact that I just told you what's not going to be helpful. So now I'm going to tell you what would be helpful. Set realistic, specific goals. So be specific, set milestones, and establish a timeline for when you hope to see certain things take place. And hopefully they're specific enough that you can actually see, oh, I've actually accomplished what I'm trying to do. But then make sure that they're realistic enough that you're not going to be so wounded and hurt by the fact that you didn't achieve.
I think I told you this, and I don't mean to cut you off right now, but I did say last week I think we were talking about, I said I never make a New Year's resolution because I chose a word, but I do have a goal to do pull-ups.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
Right. So for me, I'm not saying, I'm going to get it by January 31st. I'm saying that in 2024, I will be doing a few, and I'm just saying a few because I want to make sure I get more than one in there, strict pull-ups. And so, what's
interesting is, and let's just go right along that line. I remember working out for those of you, well, everybody doesn't know, but when I started CrossFit, it was because of you guys. I went to a CrossFit thing back when I was living in Ecuador, and I was visiting, and I went to one of your guys' crossword things, CrossFit boxes, and we worked out. It was at TSEC.
Yeah.
And what it was interesting was, if you're not familiar with CrossFit, there's something called a WOD, a workout of the day. And then it varies. It could be a gazillion different things, but normally there's multiple reps of different kinds of exercises. Okay, so let's just call it squats, air squats, and burpees and push-ups. Okay, because those are probably things people have heard of. So air squats, I remember let's just say we had to do 20, and I remember just Peter and I were going to do a partner. So he was going to do 10, I was going to do 10. And so I was like, I'm just going to start doing it.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, when I'm tired, you'll go. And then he goes, well, why don't we set a goal of having, like, why don't you do 5, I'll do 5. No, it's really dumb because we could both do way more than 5.
Right.
Air squats.
I get you.
But I'm trying to say, what was interesting, it was the first time in my mind that I thought, oh, if I set a goal in my mind for how many I'm going to do and go for it, and now I have done that, and I've not met it.
Right. I know what you're saying, but you have that.
Yeah, but if I don't have a goal, I almost always quit before I have to.
If you go to failure, it's different than saying I'm going to get 20 in or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I say, I'm going to do 5, you do 5, I'm going to do 5, and you do 5, then all of a sudden it's like I'm motivated. I'm going to get those 5 done. I'm going to go for it. If I say I'm going to go till I'm tired, it's possible that I'm going to do 3 and go, I'm tired. Good. Yeah, I'm good. Your turn. And
so are you trying to tell me that I should set a goal of how many?
No. Well, you did. You just said you're going to do a few. No, what I am trying to say is, when you are setting your goal, whatever your goal is out there for New Year's resolution, whatever you're going to do, when we set up a milestone and say, my goal is, okay, in the case of working out, let's just say that is the thing. I'm going to work out more this year. Well, the first month, I'm going to walk 3 times a week for 10 minutes. The next month, I'm going to do a half-hour walk. Or I'm going to just make up numbers. But the point is, I'm going to set goals of how many times a week, how many, and then very realistic, legitimate goals. Reward yourself. That's another thing. It says here, make sure you reward yourself. One of the things I learned in Atomic Habits, which is I loved, is what we've talked about this before, but whatever you're going to do, try and tie it with something that you like doing. So if it's writing, or what is that called? What are those little machines called that you walk on?
Oh, a treadmill.
Treadmill. Yeah. So if you're walking on a treadmill, sorry, then watch your favorite Netflix thing. You're not
Right.
allowed to watch,
Until you
Desperate
walk on that
Housewives until you're watching that thing. And so
Desperate
now
Housewives.
I don't know.
Is that even on anymore?
I don't know. So what is it? Ted Lasso. There you go.
There you go.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
No, I
let's
like
talk
that.
about Ted Lasso.
That's a really good idea, though, to set realistic goals. Because again, we said this in the beginning that you're like, I'm going to work out every day, and I'm going to go this long, and this,
Yeah.
really honestly, like tune into yourself and your body and your life and your lifestyle, and decide what will work for you, and put it in place, and then, like you said, adjust it as you go.
And if you want to get a promotion this year and you haven't been getting promoted, so what is your plan to get promoted? What are you doing? What are you maybe observing other people, asking them, how did they get promoted? What did they do? Asking your boss, what can I do? Be very proactive and set a plan, and then start saying, this is what I'm going to do this month. This is what I'm going to do next month. And then keep working toward that end so that you can actually get promoted. Don't just wait for it. You can actually take steps to do that. Stay focused on one goal. Do not have more than one New Year's resolution if you're going to do that, because it's just too hard. Track your progress. We already said that. You might want to journal. Track your progress was that milestone thing, and create a plan. Man, I had a lot of things. Never mind. So cultivate patience. That's the last one I'm going to say, because if you're expecting this to happen tomorrow, it's just not going to happen. Remember, it's an entire year's resolution.
Right.
So work at it slowly and take your time. So
Any
last words?
No, I like that. And I think that's a really key thing to say, because I think a lot of people want the results in that first month or 3. And then they say, oh, it didn't happen, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
A New Year's resolution is for the year.
For the year. And you're going to definitely fail at times. There is no question you're not going to do what you said you were.
But if you're
do.
trying, you're not failing.
That's right. So you just get up. That's the difference.
Or how do they say that actually? If you're failing, you're trying, because, right?
Right. Well, if you don't, if you never fail, it means if everybody fails. Yeah. So if you never fail, that means you've never tried.
Right. Good.
All right.
I like that.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Follow us. I'm at Benny Gonzalez on Instagram. I'm at Benny Gonzalez on Instagram. Love to hear from you. That would be wonderful. Valerie.
A daily dose of cocoa.
A daily dose of cocoa. And we would love for you to follow us on YouTube as well as Spotify. You're listening on one of those two things.
And then you can see us.
And you can see us if you're on YouTube. And so leave a comment. That would be great. Send this to your friend. And
Happy New Year, my friends.
Have a very happy New Year.
Oh, tell us what your New Year's resolutions are. That'd be fun.
Yeah, you could do that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Iggy.
See ya, Iggies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you next week. Ciao.